and they really fucking matter. There's like 4 things that matter, and they really fucking matter. I mean, objectively, I mean, you should care, especially you, if you thought about it for 5 fucking minutes.
Welcome to episode 63 of the Outer Voices podcast. We're your hosts, Keem and Esme.
Yay!
So we are back for another episode.
But wait, who's here with us?
I was getting to that. Give me a moment.
Nope, no moments.
We have not even a special guest at this point. We have a regular contributor, semi-regular contributor, Ari, with us again.
Yeah, I'm not special.
I mean,
you're definitely special.
Yeah, I know. I remember you guys saying that in another episode that I wasn't on.
But welcome back, Ari, to the show. It's awesome to have you on, as always.
Yep, I always enjoy being on. And it sounded like the topic, which we'll get into later on, was something that I almost needed to be on to help provide filler.
Yeah.
All right. But yes, we are here, and we have news, and we have a topic segment that is going to be great, and we have a sex segment that's one of my favorite things that we actually know what it is beforehand this time.
What? I'm not deciding what the sex segment is going to be in between the topic and the sex segment, which I have done. I fully admit I have done that. You can probably go back and listen to the sex segments and figure out which ones.
However, this isn't that great of an improvement. We just decided what the sex segment was going to be 10 minutes ago.
To be fair, I had that idea in the shower this morning.
Oh,
Thank
okay.
you.
Shower thoughts.
Anyway.
But, so we're going to get into the news. We all brought news stories for this ridiculous week of news, as every week is a ridiculous week of news. Oh, but before we get into the news, I actually wanted to. So last week we talked about movies. I want to give one more movie recommendation. I saw a movie yesterday that you guys need to go see. It's called Sorry to Bother You. Guys, it's awesome. It's one of those movies that have pretty much snuck under the radar, and it's out now, I think, nationwide. It is great.
I mean, it hasn't really snuck by me so much. In all the internet spaces I've been in, there have been tons of ads for it, and it looks really good.
Yeah, it's great. Lakeith, I can't remember his last name. I think it's Lakeith Crowder is excellent in it. Tessa Thompson is, as the kids say, bae.
I was going to say I don't think the kids say that anymore, but actually they do.
Yeah, the kids say that.
The kids still say that. You're hip.
I have hips.
But,
I still have my original hips at the ripe old age of 25.
Mm-hmm.
It's hip to be a square. Sorry. See, now I just made myself not hip. But yeah, no, it's a
and gone.
It's a great movie, especially for those of us who like social commentaries, and weird as shit.
Yeah, it looked like it was really weird and silly in certain places.
Yeah, it starts off kind of pretty grounded, gets weird, and admittedly gets a lot weirder. I'm
into it. I like weird shit.
But it's not one of those movies you're not gonna see the weirdness, the really weirdness coming, and the really weirdness may seem out of left field, but with the message of the movie, there's a very specific point to it.
Excellent.
So yeah, definitely go see it. Definitely.
So weirdness and possible subversions of narrative structure for a purpose.
Right. Yes. So yeah, guys, go see it. Just about anything with I will say it's a good companion movie to Get Out.
I still need to watch that movie. I can't believe I have avoided it this long.
See, that makes me think the next time I visit, just to rent Get Out.
Yes!
Yeah, that sounds like a great
Movie
thing
night!
to do to just hang out. I think last time you were here, we all watched Treasure Planet.
Oh,
No, that was Chris.
Oh, yeah, that was
Chris, yeah.
Sorry. Getting different members of the polytool all mixed up.
It's okay. I often get confused with Chris.
I mean, you guys are both awesome
But see, I'm the black one.
and weird.
I don't ever confuse you with Chris.
Yeah,
You
you
don't?
both have very different flavors of awesome weirdness in general.
You don't?
No,
How many times?
I do.
Yeah, all the time.
Not all the time. Sometimes. Mostly when I'm texting.
And on who has done what when.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, let's get into the news.
Yes.
I hate going first on the news. One of you guys go first, please.
I'll go first on the news. Okay, so the news thing that I want to yell about this week is the fucking Antifa bill, right? The Unmasking Antifa bill, where so first off, they called it that. First off, they called it that, right? That's what they're calling it, which is they are specifically targeting this specific group of people, which is fucked up. But the language of the bill itself so let me read from what it actually says, right? So this is pretty clearly a bill where they are trying to create legislation in reaction to what they perceive to be basically what apparently the government people think Antifa is a group of like lawless vigilantes, which they low-key are, but also they're not as bad as all that. But the text of the bill, in part, says whoever, whether or not acting under color of law while in disguise, including while wearing a mask, injures, oppresses, threatens, or intimidates any person in any state, territory, commonwealth, possession, or district in the free exercise or enjoyment of any right or privilege secured to him by the Constitution or laws of the United States, or because of his having so exercised the same, shall be fined under this title, imprisoned not more than 15 years, or both. So what they're saying is that if you... So obviously, right, like assaulting somebody, like injuring somebody is already illegal, right? That is already illegal. But then but they're saying like if you threaten or intimidate anybody while you're wearing a mask.
Or oppress, which has all kinds of possible interpretations.
Yes, right. All of these things are extremely open to interpretation, and it gets weird. Like they're obviously targeting Antifa, but this law doesn't necessarily limit itself to that particular group. Surprise, because
so it's called the Unmasking Antifa Act. And thinking about the words. Now, Ez and Ari, is there a group that in the U.S. history that likes to target and oppress and assault
threaten,
people who
intimidate.
who are exercising their rights as Americans, who are known for wearing masks?
I wonder.
Maybe it's some sort of
wizard hat.
Yeah, it's like some sort of clan of sorts.
Yeah. But I'm particularly troubled because it sounds a lot like reading the specific snippet from the bill, it sounds a lot like this is specifically saying, hey, what happened in Charlottesville? Yeah, that can't happen anymore. But it's not these white supremacists can't go and rally and run an innocent civilian over with a car.
Because we know who they are.
Yeah. But what really can't happen is people showing up in masks saying, hey, your white supremacy is not okay and we aren't here for it. So it's very blatantly further defenses of white supremacy and all of those who seek to maintain it.
I'm just glad that the United States government has taken such a strong stance against fighting fascism.
I know, right? It's right there in the name of the fucking bill.
Yeah. And, like, we haven't had that many, like, far-right rallies like that because of the fact that every time somebody tries to drum one up, Antifa is there in full force, frequently in numbers more than doubling those of the far right. But now that's illegal. Extra illegal, rather. So...
No, it's not illegal. It's not
Alt-right.
illegal to counter-protest. It's illegal to wear a mask and appear to be threatening. Right.
Yeah.
You can totally counter-protest, but you got to show your face.
Yeah, which means now you can be targeted.
So you can be targeted, yeah.
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 Basically, well, I mean, we can't really say anything to you for, opposing this, but we're going to let somebody else do it.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if I could show up in, like, real heavy face makeup, and if that wouldn't count.
Well, in disguise.
Damn it.
And
There goes being a protesting drag queen for Antifa.
here's another thing that I thought about. Oftentimes when these protests and things get out of hand, what do they use? Well, what can be used, especially?
I mean, a lot of things can be used.
Oh,
gas.
Yeah, gas, which masks specifically protect you from.
Exactly.
And that's a big part of why people wear the masks in the first place, for the biggest shit.
It's almost as if they don't want people able to protect themselves.
Yep.
It just amazes me how the administration going, hey, we're not fascist, we're good patriots, and then literally promote a bill that targets fighting fascists. It goes, hey, I'm not a fascist, but here's something that's gonna target people trying to fight us.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's a thing that happened this week.
Yep.
Fuck wads.
And now it's time for me to get all Farnsworth on everybody.
Oh my god! Good news,
hold on.
everyone!
Yes, you stole my line, you asshole.
No, go for it.
Good news, everyone. The war on poverty is over.
Woo! It's over, guys! We're all rich. We're all amazing. America's great again. We're just swimming in milk and honey. Woo!
Yeah, except poverty is arguably probably worse.
Okay, so
than
here's
it
the
was
thing that I wanted to
before.
say, though. Here's the thing that I wanted to say. So, every headline that I've seen about this has said the same thing. What do the headlines say? They say...
White House declares war on poverty largely over.
They say that the war on poverty is over.
Yeah.
They don't say that poverty is over. They just say we're not going to fight about it anymore. We are no longer fighting poverty. And we're like, well, no shit, dude. We knew that.
Well, see, but that's the thing. Part of the speech was we are not fighting poverty because it's not needed anymore.
Okay. But see, that's
what the fuck?
Yeah, I had admittedly not read these stories.
That's why the headlines are putting that together. The speech, or whatever it was, said the war on poverty is largely over because it's no longer needed.
Which is some bullshit.
That declaration fucking blew my mind. Basically saying we don't have to combat poverty in this country because there's really not that much of it anymore.
Yeah.
The income gap is much larger than it has ever been.
Yep.
Yeah. That means that our war on impoverished people is successful.
Yeah, the war on you're right. It's not that the war on poverty is over. We just had the wrong title for the war.
Yeah.
It's not the war on poverty, it's the war on the impoverished.
Yeah, so hopefully now they'll stop making life harder for poor people and homeless people. Because it's fucking hard enough already.
Fingers
Spikes all
crossed,
over the
man.
place, you can't sleep anywhere. You can't pay for food for a family of 4 even if you work 3 fucking jobs.
But Ari, do you know those lousy poor people have made it very uncomfortable for those rich people to eat out at restaurants?
I mean,
Do you know how awful that is? Come on, that is a travesty.
That's obviously much worse than having trouble even being able to get food in the first place.
They can't even wear their red hats out in public without those dirty pores,
those poor,
confronting them about it.
Those poor red hat wearing motherfuckers.
Right.
I feel like there's a reference here that I'm not getting.
I don't know. I just decided to call them motherfuckers midway through acting like I sympathized.
So, Keen, what's up with the red hats?
MAGA.
Yeah. I try to erase those people from my memory at every opportunity until I log back into Facebook, and then it's back on.
See,
I'm like, oh.
I want people from now on, when you think of red hats, think brown coats.
No, see, here's the thing, though, with the red hats. The people who are benefiting from this war on poverty are not the ones who are wearing the red hats. The people wearing the red hats are getting ground down by this system just as much as anybody else.
It's a mix. Sure, there's some lower class, not quite middle class people who are in favor of Trump. I should know most of my relatives are such, but it's not a majority. Lower middle to under
but
that.
What I'm saying is it's not the red hat is not the indication of whether or not you support Trump. The red hat was part of this folksy appeal to the lower classes that helped him. That was part of the he's one of us. He's gonna stick up for us. Right? But see, billionaires don't wear baseball caps.
That's the thing with this war. With this war on the impoverished, while they're not the ones wearing the red hats specifically, or not the ones benefiting, they're the foot soldiers.
Yeah,
I mean, but largely the working class is pretty much apolitical, honestly, in my experience, because they don't have time to fucking think about it.
They're consciously, they're visibly apolitical.
Yeah, I mean,
but they're not.
Yeah, I mean, being apolitical makes you being willfully apolitical ultimately makes it easier for the people in power to get away with all their bullshit.
Yeah, they're not completely apolitical. They're just reactionary, which many of us are, right? They have hot buttons. And if somebody in power knows what the buttons are, they push them.
Yeah. I'm going to say it like this. There's no such thing as apolitical. Yeah. There's no such thing. There's no such thing as apolitical. You can never be apolitical.
Live without engaging in politics, at least somehow. Because life is politics.
Yeah.
Even just my very existence is a political stance.
Yes.
It's like that saying that we've seen pop up. If one guy who's not a Nazi sits down and eats with 10 Nazis, what do you have?
11 Nazis.
11 Nazis. Just say one or two average people. It's like, I don't get involved in. There may be all of these people doing this, but I don't get involved with it. I'm different. I'm separate.
Yeah.
No, you're not. That's what I'm getting at.
But I think it's also worth talking about the fact that this pointing out that it's largely, or this talking about how it's largely working class people who are allowing this system to continue as it is very much so the establishment, the established left and all the rich asswads on that side that like to pretend they care about people's needs while simultaneously just pushing them under the rug, tend to tend to use that to, like, vilify and alienate working class issues so that they don't have to worry about it and can just push through somebody that's not Trump and win. Like...
Anyway, I feel like we got way off topic.
Yeah. Anyway, like I said, poverty's over, guys.
Poverty's over.
We're all rich. Our credit's good. We're actually also all immortal now. There's no death.
Woo!
Oh no, I've already died like 3 times, and I'm just gonna keep dying. But every time I die, I come back. So that's a type of immortality.
Oh yeah, no, it's literal heaven on earth now. I mean, America's great again. We can make those declarations now that the orange return of Christ is here.
Yeah. So
they said he'd come back. I didn't realize he would be so orange.
Yeah. Even if you are barely managing to eke out a living for yourself, living off of food stamps or what little food stamps can give you, while simultaneously holding down 2.5 to 5 jobs. Congrats. Poverty's over.
Yeah.
It's over. It's cured. We don't have to worry about it anymore. America is great again. Let the choir sing. Holly goddamn Luya.
Well, you know what's happening there is that clearly the people calling this person and their organization trying to get benefits aren't actually veterans. They're just homeless people pretending to be veterans. Because, like, as the government's saying, which the government would never lie, there are no homeless veterans. So, obviously, if they're homeless, they aren't veterans.
Yeah, I mean, of course. There's not like there are statistics to show that a very large portion of the homeless population are actually vets.
Yep.
But no, everything's solved. Mm-hmm. I wonder what's next. We solved homelessness. We solved homeless vets. We solved poverty. Yeah. Racism's got to be next, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and while we're on the front of homelessness, why not let's solve the issue of homeless queer persons?
Oh, I mean, there are not going to be any queer people left.
Right. We're not going to solve the problem.
Queerness isn't real.
Yeah, no, we're not solving the problem. Exactly, right? We're just, congratulations, we have cured queerness.
Yeah.
Right.
Keem's the only person who appears on this podcast.
Yeah, like...
Even Keem's kind of queer.
Podcast, but everyone's straight now.
Yes.
Everyone's hetero.
Everyone is normal now.
Yep.
And we're gonna make all these babies, and the babies gonna be taken care of. We're just gonna be baby factories, and we're not gonna suffer. We're not gonna suffer with these children because there's no poverty, right?
Yep. I'm gonna cut all my hair off, and Ez is gonna grow their hair out, and we're gonna get married and have 20 babies and a white picket fence.
I just want to know when we're going to church, guys.
But congrats.
Tomorrow is Sunday.
Yeah. Also, like, everybody's going to be Christian, too. They're going to save all the souls.
Normal. Everybody's going to be normal.
All the souls, and my skin is just going to completely fade. We're all going to be white.
Yeah, you'll be normal.
Yeah.
Oh, man, it's
normal.
Praise white Jesus. This is what I've always wanted. Hallelujah. Praise him.
Yep.
Okay,
I mean, Satan's my dad, but I'm about to be in that holy Baptist church.
Yeah. So, Keem.
So, you ready for mine?
It's time for yours.
Time for mine.
Time for yours.
So let's keep this anger rage train a rolling.
Yeah.
Oh wait, so the homeless vets wasn't yours?
No, that was not mine.
That was an aside. Keem gets 2 because Keem thinks he's special.
I am special, goddammit.
But not me.
Republican lawmakers vote to make it legal nationwide to ban gays and lesbians from adopting. So on Wednesday, the House Appropriations Committee passed an amendment allowing taxpayer-funded adoption agencies to deny LGBTQ families the ability to adopt a child based on religious objections. This amendment would cut 15% of federal adoption funding to states and localities that penalize adoption agencies that refuse to place children in families that conflict with sincerely held religious beliefs.
I'm gonna punch somebody in the face the next time I hear them say sincerely held religious beliefs. Because fuck that noise.
I'm really tempted to say that phrase now.
So yes.
You want to test me? I'm not gonna actually punch you. I only punch people consensually.
Yeah, we got to talk about that later.
No, we talked about that last week. No, 2 weeks ago.
No, I wasn't talking about it on the podcast.
I'm not yet convinced of my interest in impact play. I'm gonna hold it off.
This is a continued attack on, of course, LGBT people in this country, of course. Like, just another and like I said, this one is, it's this somewhat subtle bullshit they're pulling continues to fucking irk me.
Where the fuck is anything subtle?
Because it's not outright saying we're going to try to ban this community from adopting children. What they're going to say is, we're not going to outright ban it. However, we're going to penalize states that make agencies consider these types of families.
Yeah.
So basically, states, which is, let's talk about some states' rights issues for a second again. States generally have the power of health and welfare.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what adoption falls under. This is a states' right issue, and this is the federal government coming in saying states can't. It's saying basically states cannot tell adoption agencies to not be discriminatory, or we're going to penalize you for it.
Yeah.
Which constitutionally, like, you can do that. You can't like, the federal government can't outright ban something that's under a state's control. They can't. But they can impose spending.
Yes.
And that's what this is. They're putting pressure on states. And they're not just putting pressure on states just to let these adoption agencies, these taxpayer-funded adoption agencies, make these discriminatory decisions. This is actually encouraging those organizations to make those decisions. Mm-hmm. And anytime you hear the words taxpayer-funded blank making decisions based on sincerely held keyword religious beliefs, you have a motherfucking problem.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because we've talked about it many times. The separation of the church and the state. I might be having a slight nervous breakdown, so I apologize.
I am pretty sure that you are having a full-on nervous breakdown, but that's okay.
I'm slowly divorcing myself from reality, so whatever. I don't, like, I'm sorry, first of all, fuck your religious beliefs. Secondly, why? There's no reason to keep a child or children away from loving families. Yeah.
That is going to give them good, healthy lives. And don't give me they're not healthy because they're homosexuals and God doesn't. No, fuck out of here. If they are providing that child with health, education, and love, then that's healthy. That's what children need and deserve.
Yep.
And if you think it's okay to deny a child of that because you don't feel good, or your invisible sky daddy don't like it when two men have sex or two women have sex, or whoever that isn't a God-fearing man and woman blessed from Adam and goddamn Eve's womb have sex, then you can go fuck yourself. And tell him I said it. And your sky daddy go fuck himself.
And don't forget, don't have abortions. Put that baby up for adoption instead.
That's the other thing that gets me. That's the other thing that gets me. You want to eliminate a whole demographic of loving families for children who have been put up for adoption. And you also don't want abortions, and you want those children put up for adoptions. So you want people to have these children, but then these children not to have homes.
Yeah. We want overcrowded orphanages with a bunch of really... Oh, yeah, and we almost certainly don't want to fund those orphanages, because why would we do that?
Right. And you got... And they're also cutting the welfare system even more and more, so it's going to get overburdened. What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah.
You're going to have a large influx of poverty. You're going to have a large influx of of impoverished children who are going to, if they even grow up. First of all, the infant mortality rate is going to go way up.
Hell yeah. As is the maternal mortality rate.
Right.
Way up.
And yeah, because like the saying is, you can't outlaw abortion. You can only outlaw safe abortion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're going to have mortality rates skyrocket. You're going to have crime rates skyrocket. Because guess what? When people can't afford to live, especially when they have to take care of children, they're going to do whatever is necessary to survive. And that means crime.
Yeah. People love to talk about how poor people are doing crimes and how high crime rates are in poor areas of the city and shit like that. And they completely miss the whole point that, at a certain point, crime becomes necessary for survival. And that's what you need to address if you want to lower crime rates, rather than just being tougher on the people who do crimes.
Well, see, that's the thing. We have this criminalization of the poor, and that poor people are criminals just because they're poor.
Yeah.
But most crime, the largest majority of crime, isn't committed because somebody wanted to do something criminal. Most crime is committed out of necessity.
Yeah. People get into crime because they need to live.
Right.
Because they have enough of a will to live to say, fuck you and your arbitrary rules. I'm doing what gets me food. Right. So you make these decisions to make America the good moral place that it's supposed to be, but you're literally creating a worse off world, a world where all the problems, these societal problems that you claim that you want to fight, are only going to get worse. Much worse. However, it does set things up to be amazing for the sheltered, hyper-rich, because, number one, on the, no adoptions and also no abortions point, if you traumatize a child in their early childhood, which also is a big part of what all the, child immigrant internment is potentially about, you completely stunt their development. They will have problems to overcome beyond that of most any other person who had a more healthy childhood, simply because of what they went through in their childhood. So these people are forcing this on poor people of color, immigrants, and it's whether it's truly what they intend or not, which frankly I'm skeptical enough to think that it's probably what they intend. They are completely choking off these children's chance at upward mobility as they get older and join the workforce. Like,
Yeah.
My thing is and honestly they're like you said they're really trying they're trying to pad themselves. They're trying to make their lives, the rich get richer and keep the poor in their place.
Yep. Simultaneously, they widen the school to prison pipeline, so they have more slave labor.
But what's going to happen is when you keep depriving people of things, when you make things harder for people, they get hungry. And when they get hungry, they get violent.
Mm-hmm.
And all your structures in the world can't save you from a mass of hungry, angry, violent people.
Yep. You corner a fucking wild beast and it's gonna strike.
People, you keep depriving people of things, they're not just going to sit there and be okay with it. They're going to take those things.
Yeah.
And with that, we're going to move into the topic segment after a brief musical interlude. Enjoy.
That person you like on the train, that feeling you'd like to remain, your very best friend when you were a child, you haven't seen in a while. The bike that you had as a kid, sitting around digging with sticks, treetops and soft clouds, your very first kiss. Oh, isn't it nice to exist?
And welcome back, everyone, to our topic segment. There's actually a good reason why we had Ari on the show today, because we're going to talk about some nerdy shit.
Nerdy shit.
Specifically, we're going to talk about how toxic fandoms can be.
Yep.
Now, I know our listeners generally probably get into some shit. I mean, everybody's a fan of something.
We got a real rough and tumble bunch here.
Right. But man, being a fan of something and being in a fan community especially can result in some very toxic environments, toxic behaviors, and nerd culture very specifically can be one of the most awful places.
Yeah.
Like, awful places. So we're gonna discuss a little bit about that. I was trying to decide. So actually, and I've mentioned this a few times. I actually put out in the Black Nerds group. I created an admin, Black Nerds United on Facebook. You can find us. I put out a post just wanting to get people's some people's stories of toxic experiences they've had in whatever fan community they're involved in, and I got some very interesting stories. For instance, this is one Ari would probably be interested in. Pokemon Go.
Oh boy, what did they do?
Apparently there are many instances of groups of people blocking other people from raids.
I believe it.
Threatening and stalking other players.
I absolutely believe that. There's some marginally creepy people in that community.
Yeah.
I mean, the Pokemon fandom in general can get kind of creepy. There's a surprising amount of people who sexualize not only the Pokemon trainers, who are all supposed to be like 12 and younger, but also like the Pokemon themselves.
Oh, poor. What's the one? The
Gardevoir.
One that looks Gardevoir. Poor Gardevoir. I've seen, and once again, I'm gonna say I did not go looking for this. I never go looking for this. But I've seen so much so many people into fucking Gardevoir.
Yeah.
And Lopunny or whatever. The bunny one?
Oh yeah, Lopunny. That's one. Yeah.
And
on the other side of things, a lot of people really like Lucario and Zoroark.
Yeah, they're all about that dog penis.
Yeah.
It's
that almost leads into another fandom I want to talk about.
Something tells me we'll get to it.
I mean, this one's just kind of a funny coincidence because it's a weird comic I saw from one of these fandoms.
Go ahead. You gotta let me know.
Okay.
See, now I'm interested.
Well, for those of you who have been on the internet a while, you might have heard of Homestuck because it was kind of a meme to hate on Homestuck fans for a while there, which, not totally undeserved. We got to be a pretty infantile and annoying bunch. One of the most infamous things that have happened that has been perpetrated by Homestucks is something called the bucket video, which is not what I was just now alluding to, but I'm going to get there. The bucket video is just a video of a bunch of people in gray body paint, like dressed up as different characters from Homestuck, passing a bucket around in a public restaurant and spitting in it.
What? Why?
Because in the web series, I guess is the best way to put it. It's mostly web comic, but it also has flash animations for certain key points, as well as like interactable little games that you can play to get some of the story. It's very like multimedia and it's pretty rad. But the deal is there's a race of aliens that become really important in the series called trolls, and they reproduce by coming together with a bucket and putting their genetic material into that bucket. And
so they
then,
come
something like that. Like they come in a bucket, or however it works for them. They don't really go all that far into how their genitalia are, so there are a lot of different theories about that, because of course there are. Because somebody had to figure out how to draw porn of them, obviously.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Because porn.
Yeah. Which, the porn is where I'm gonna get into the dog dick shit. But there's...
Oh my god, this took a turn immediately, and I'm all about it.
Yeah.
I mean, hello.
Because Homestuck's really weird.
Do you even know who you invited on this show?
True.
Like, all three of us are fucking weirdos.
Yeah. But anyway, the deal is they pool their genetic material in a bucket. A royal, like... They have a very hierarchical society based on a caste system around blood colors. it's a whole thing. I don't want to get into all of it. I just want to finish what I was saying. Evidently drones come around. They're a very, insect-like species in a number of ways. Drones come around, collect all the buckets, and then pour all of this genetic material onto what's called a mother grub, which is one, queen-like entity that births all the trolls.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the deal was they were passing around that bucket and spitting in it to emulate that active troll copulation.
These are white people, weren't they?
I'm reasonably certain they were. I mean,
Go
they all
on.
had gray body paint on, but yeah, probably. But anyway, the dog dick thing. There was a comic I saw. One of the characters in Homestuck through weird shenanigans. There are a lot of weird shenanigans all over the place in that comic, and a lot of weird sci-fi shit happens all the time. And eventually the whole thing culminated in a gay singularity is what the author called it, where just everybody that he could make gay became gay. But anyway, there's one character, Jade, who through various shenanigans ends up getting kind of fused with her dog, who also has godlike powers. So she becomes one of the most powerful people in the entire cast through this, and a lot of the erotica around her, well, maybe not a lot, but certainly some of the erotica around her started to focus on the fact that she was fused with a male dog. So there's a whole genre of Homestuck fan smut that's big titty dog dick Jane. Or Jade, rather. Jane is a different character.
The internet is an amazing place.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Anyway, but yeah, fandoms can get pretty out of control. A story that I was actually telling Ari the other day when we were discussing this. So there, for those of you who don't watch it, there's a newer. It's not new because it's been on I think a few years now. But there's a newer Voltron show on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
And very good show. I'm a pretty regular watcher of it. But so last year they did a fan thing. Few lucky fans could come in and meet the creators and get to see some early storyboards, that type of thing. During that, a fan, of course they weren't supposed to, took pictures of these storyboards. And these pictures had information on multiple ongoing seasons. So this fan, because they were a quote-unquote true fan, because that's always the case when it comes to toxic fandoms.
Yeah.
The most toxic people always claim that they're true fans, and everyone else is below them.
If you don't want to suck big titty dog dick Jane's dick, you're not a real fan.
Right. But so this real fan had a ship, and for definitions, a ship is when you desire for two people or multiple people or multiple things to be in relationships. Well, this person wanted two characters to be in a homosexual relationship, which, no problem with that. People have their ships.
Mm-hmm.
But this fan decided that they were going to hold the storyboards hostage. And they threatened to, if the creators of the show didn't make their ship official on the show, which, by the way, would affect multiple seasons of upcoming storylines that these people had already planned out. But if they didn't make their ship official on the show, that they would take these storyboards and release them and spoil basically what these people have been doing for the past couple years. Because of this, Netflix, who is invested in the show, and knowing that having that released could ruin the show,
Mm-hmm.
Threatened that if those storyboards were released, they would cancel the show.
Yep. So they were literally holding the show hostage just so
Right.
that two of their favorite characters could kiss on screen, basically.
Right. So, which brings me to my first point of toxic fandoms, and this is gonna be reiterated a bunch. You, as a fan, the creators do not owe you anything.
No.
Like there's this sense of entitlement when it comes to fans. Fans, especially really staunch fans who are like super obsessed with it. It's not. They think that the product belongs to them.
Yeah.
And that the product should go the way they want it to go. My stepsister, she will stop watching shows. She will boycott and stop watching stuff that she has watched for years and years and years if things do not happen the way she wants them to.
Yeah.
Especially if there's not a happy ending. If there's not a happy ending in every story, she will boycott it.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
But non-happy endings are some of the most compelling.
Oh yeah. I make that argument a lot, but that's not how she thinks. She needs happy endings. She needs, more specifically, she needs people to have children and get married and do all that. Like, that's how every show has to end. Her people have to get married and reproduce. But to her, she owns that. Like that show she's a fan of, it belongs to her.
Clearly.
And if it doesn't turn out that way, then it's not the show.
I mean, she should just do like so many others and write AU fan fiction.
I mean, she does at times.
Okay, then just like let what you want to see in the show play out in that.
But
And
see,
if it's a
that's the
compelling
thing.
enough story, then who knows? It might get attention. One of the writers might see it. They might think, hey, I could stand to do something like that in the show.
Nope, they would like the people that think like this. They want to be they want it to be official because fan fiction just won't cut it because they own to them they own the product. And it's garbage. You don't own shit. What you own are the good feelings that product is giving you.
Yeah.
What you own is those experiences that you have had with that product, but you do not own that product. And you don't get to decide how that product evolves and grows. Which brings me to like you can call it a fandom. I think it's popular culture at this point. But one of the like major issues I had with comics fandom is
Yeah.
comic books have gone on for so long, and
Yeah.
for so many years, a lot of these characters have remained unchanged.
Yeah.
And in the 90s, the comic book industry started to fail. Things weren't interesting anymore. These characters weren't interesting anymore. So they started making a change.
Mm-hmm.
Now, recently, the push has been for more representative superheroes.
Yeah.
Saw more heroes of color. You saw more women.
Yeah.
You saw all these different, and you also saw older heroes not really giving up their mantles, but sharing and passing on their mantles to younger superheroes.
Yeah.
And of course, this allowed for new stories to be told.
Instead of the same old tired thing about like this character is troubled about their past and doesn't remember everything and their powers make problems for them.
Right.
Like,
the fandom flipped out. They harassed writers, and they still continue to harass writers. They threaten the companies, telling them there's you guys are changing too much. These are not the characters we love and grew up with. You're trying too much to please the social justice warriors.
Social justice warriors.
That's always the big one with everything. Any kind of inclusion is you stop pandering to these social justice warriors that are bullying everyone into seeing the world their way.
And pander to me instead.
yeah.
Right. I had
Pander to the real fans, the white male fans.
in my Black Nerds group, I had a guy recently. So I shared a picture of a character called Ghost Panther, and it's an alternate reality version of the character Storm,
Mm-hmm.
who wore a suit similar to Black Panther.
Yeah.
It's a very, very awesome looking character, and Storm is awesome just generally.
Yeah.
This person complained, and what he said was, people need to stop having all these quote unquote, and he put quote unquote, strong female characters. Because it makes men look weak.
Yes, because if women are strong, obviously that means men are weak.
Clear.
Right.
It is only one or the other. You cannot have both genders feature strong people.
Yep.
And even worse, it went first say, and now young boys won't have anything to look up to.
Oh. Oh.
What?
So sad for them that they have to look up to women.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's such a travesty that little boys would think a female character is cool.
Yeah.
Clearly, that is the worst possible outcome here.
I mean, that's what caused the transes, right?
Yeah, right.
Yep. Obviously.
And it was so interesting to me with like this guy having all these problems with like this character when, especially comics have been full of strong female characters since
Wonder
forever.
Woman, which was like fucking in the 50s, I think, is when that started, right?
40s actually.
Shit, yeah, okay. Since Wonder Woman. Probably even before that.
Wonder Woman has forever been one of the most popular superheroes ever.
Yeah.
And even like along with Wonder Woman, there were characters like the Blonde Phantom and like the original Black Widow and like Lady Macabre and Lady Death and all these other and you got Storm. like as we were talking, Storm has been a positive character, a strong female character since the 60s.
Yeah, Storm's been in the X-Men forever.
Right. There are just tons and tons. And Black Widow. You know, there are just a ton of strong female characters that have existed and been at the forefront for years.
Yep.
Wonder Woman has been one of the three. There are three anchors in DC Comics: Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. And to say, oh, there are too many strong women characters in comics. Have you not been here in the past 60 years?
Yeah, it's almost like they aren't even aware of what comics are and how they've developed.
I mean, what? And like even going further, like to move on from like women. When Black Panther came out, oh, the complaints. Oh, now there's too many black superheroes.
No such thing.
Yeah. Plus, like, they didn't even make more black superheroes for Black Panther. That was
like,
an already existent, like,
right,
comic series.
Oh, and my favorite thing was how dare you have Black Panther? If there was a White Panther, people would be angry.
Well, confusing. That's very confusing to me, considering White Wolf is a part of the Black Panther franchise anyway.
Right. like, God, there actually is. Like, there is a character, and in the comics, it's his brother.
Mm-hmm.
T'Challa has an adopted white brother.
Yeah. And he grows to be like a Machiavellian, sometimes villain, sometimes hero, from what I've read.
Right. But,
like he's a real interesting and powerful character. He's there. There is a quote unquote White Panther.
Right.
And no, we don't have issues with it.
Like it's so ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. During Pride Month, I was posting things about LGBT characters that you should pay attention to.
Yeah, wasn't Colossus at one point super gay?
In the Ultimate Universe, Colossus was gay.
Yeah, but here recently there was a whole storyline about him getting married to a woman and everything. Yeah, I don't know. Well, I kind of wish he had stayed gay.
it's two different versions of Colossus.
Yeah, I kind of figured, but also, come on, man.
And that marriage also didn't happen. Actually,
yeah, I'm aware.
Speaking of which, there was a big outcry a couple years ago because the character Iceman was revealed as being gay.
Yeah.
And people were just like, how dare they change the sexuality of Iceman to please the social justice warriors and all the gays, and they're promoting the gay agenda, always the gay agenda, you know. The funny thing is, though Iceman had been portrayed as hetero for years, many of the recurring themes was that his relationships with women never worked. Mm-hmm. And writers for years have been implying that he was gay, and that's why it never worked. They never said it out loud, but it had been the implication for years. There was at one point a psychic took over his mind and mentioned something about it.
Yeah,
but it was glossed over. But as soon as they said it, too many gays in comics. How dare you make our beloved Iceman a homosexual?
Yeah, how dare you?
And considering the entire
obvious,
run
but it's been hinted at for fucking years.
And considering the entire '90s X-Men and current X-Men trilogy is a metaphor for gay rights.
Yeah.
Like, there's literally a scene where in X-Men 2 where Iceman comes out to his family
As a mutant, right?
as a mutant. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, X-Men. It's too many gays in comics. And it's funny, like there are, with the characters like Hercules and Thor and Loki, these characters are pretty much all across the board pan.
Yeah.
Because they're gods. They never have the same concept of like sexuality that humans did. So they just do whatever. But let someone call them pan, they will lose their minds.
Yup.
Yep.
There was a big issue when the Deadpool movie came out, and they said, "Oh, Deadpool's pan."
Yep.
Well, no shit. Like Deadpool's been trying to bang Spider-Man for years.
Yeah, Deadpool's been trying to bang literally anyone he comes across for a long ass time.
But the first time they
like,
said it, damn these social justice warriors and these gays.
Yeah, but he has always been into Peter Parker. Like,
right.
That's just super fucking blatant.
Yeah, like it's always been a thing.
Yeah.
They did the death of the character Hercules a few years back, and everyone was all surprised when all his lovers showed up, and most of good half of them were dudes.
Well, I mean,
and it was like
Greek?
He's Hercules. He's Greek.
Heracles was very. Or I don't know if Heracles was gay. Actually, I don't know all the myths around him. I've never really had an special interest in that.
And Loki is gender fluid, like a.
Yeah, Loki's
like
super gender fluid and way pansexual, I'm pretty sure.
Right. Yeah. Like Loki just kind of does whatever. For years, Loki was a woman.
Yeah.
Yeah. For years, Loki was a dude. Loki bangs everyone and everything. Like,
I'm pretty sure Loki even got banged by his dad at one point while he was in horse form, and that's where Sleipnir came from.
Yes. Like.
Yeah.
There are like.
Well, actually, but is Odin his father in original Norse mythology? I thought they were like brothers or something.
No, I think he is his father in original Norse mythology.
I don't know. Unfortunately, I don't have any special interest in that either. But like,
I
both
do,
of my roommates could tell you a lot about Loki.
But yeah, like these things with these characters have always. There is rarely a change that has been made in comics at all that
didn't have some kind of like fan outcry.
Yeah, like that didn't have fan outcry, but that change didn't come from somewhere. Like an implication or a plot line that has always existed that just comes to fruition. But fans lose their minds, which causes, unfortunately, eventually, and it's not even like the sales or anything. That kind of toxic fandom causes the companies to respond with the thing that I hate the most, a reboot.
Yep.
And they go, we are going to stop what we're doing, stop these new stories, and just take them, pretend like the stuff didn't happen, and take it back to where it was.
Yeah, it's mind wipe time. Nobody did any of that stuff. They're completely reborn in a different form.
DC does that shit constantly.
Yeah.
Like it's like Marvel doesn't do it as much. Marvel has a time they call it a sliding timeline. They just kind of move things down and tweak stuff, but they don't reboot very often. DC reboots constantly, and it's awful. But it's always due to fans complaining, fans putting pressure on stuff, and fans thinking that they own the materials.
Yeah.
I think the most toxic fandom out there, and I think many people will agree with me, Star Wars. I
mean, probably. They He bullied the dude who played Jar Jar into committing suicide.
Oh, he didn't.
I mean, attempting suicide, right?
Yeah. They bullied the kid that played Anakin.
Which I have a story from a much more flowery fandom about someone being bullied into attempting suicide as well.
Oh, all right. we definitely got to get into that. But yeah, they bullied the kid into Anakin. Like, they bullied a child into quitting acting.
Yeah.
And he suffered some very intense psychological trauma, and his life never recovered. Both Daisy Ridley and I can't remember her name, the woman that played Rose in Last Jedi.
Yeah, I don't know her name either.
They both were bullied off of social media.
Yeah. Just like the damn it, I don't remember that actress's name. The actor's name? I don't know. Like the one woman that was a Ghostbuster in one of the more recent ones, but like she was the token black Ghostbuster, and everybody
Leslie Jones.
Yeah, everybody kept picking at her, comparing her to an ape because fucking racists love that comparison. And yeah, they pushed her off social media too.
Yeah. It's fucking ridiculous. Like, people are so, like, that's the fucking, like, I love the Ghostbusters. It's the fucking Ghostbusters.
Mm-hmm.
You are that hard up on the fucking Ghostbusters to be that much of a dick?
Yeah, like, it's the Ghostbusters. It was never all that serious to begin with.
And the Star Wars fans get me even more, because their biggest complaint is that I've seen is there are too many women characters.
Yeah.
Women protagonists.
And yet every woman we've seen has been a white brunette.
Right. And I mean, even like if they want to even talk about like protagonists in Star Wars movies.
Well, nearly every woman we've seen.
Like the original Star Wars trilogy had 3 protagonists.
Yeah.
The main story followed 2 of those protagonists. Luke Skywalker and whom?
Han Solo, right?
No,
Leia.
Shit, fuck.
Leia.
There's Luke and Leia. I was thinking it was a point about like Leia being less.
No, Leia has always been. Leia and Luke have always been the focal point of that story.
Yeah.
From Leia's first moments, like in person, really, she is strong. Even though she's captured, she is strong. She's unbreakable.
Yeah.
She's taken no one's shit, and she never takes anyone's shit throughout the whole series.
Yep. Because Carrie Fisher's fucking amazing.
Right. Leia is probably the strongest character in those movies.
Oh, pretty much undeniably.
Yeah, she absolutely is.
But their issue is, look at all, like, man, they got too many female protagonists. They're making the men look weak. And
stop writing such fucking weak men.
Yeah,
Jesus.
And see, that's
quit with your fragile masculinity. And then maybe men won't be weak.
The entire point of like Luke and Vader and Han and stuff, they're designed to be weak. They're characters because of their weakness. Luke and especially Anakin were whiny.
Mm-hmm.
And Han was a douchebag. The whole point of Han was that he is a scoundrel, an asshole, and he had to learn to be a good person.
Yeah.
Like these characters, these characters were designed to be weak. Another one of the biggest issues, spoiler alert for The Last Jedi, is that Luke doesn't want to fight.
Yeah. Like he's completely unwilling.
Yeah, and people were like, this is not the Luke we know. Luke is a strong warrior, and Luke would have fought. And no, he wouldn't.
No, he was pretty pacifist back then too, right?
And yes, and
yeah,
and honestly, pacifism is the Jedi way.
Yeah,
they're pacifists.
Yeah, that's the way of the old order. That's what he's trying to revive in the first place.
Right, like in Return of the Jedi, Luke's greatest moment of weakness, the moment he almost fell to the dark side, was when he was fighting, when he gave into his anger and fought Vader.
Yeah.
That's what Palpatine was trying to get him to do. That was his weakness. He didn't truly become a Jedi until during the fight, he let go of his anger and said, I'm not going to fight you.
Yeah.
So, like, the people are like, oh my God, this is not my Star Wars. Because Luke is a proud warrior. No. Luke's entire point is that you've never paid attention to the damn movie.
Yeah, you're just misreading a movie you probably haven't watched since your childhood, when you just assumed, oh, tough guy on the screen with cool lightsaber abilities. He must be a strong, capable warrior who don't take shit from no man.
Right. And they made Star Wars into this male power fantasy, which is not.
Yeah, like they tried to pretend like it was when it absolutely wasn't.
Another thing that I think the writer, whoever wrote like these past two Star Wars movies, they knew exactly what they were doing. Like they knew exactly the type of fans this series had, because the main antagonist of these past two movies is an angry fanboy.
Yeah. Yep. I've seen people who interpret him as, okay, so I'm gonna get into that. Like, most of the people in the know about how Star Wars has developed, and like who tend to lean to the left more so, see Kylo Ren as this like whiny, privileged fucking child that's just lashing out and has no control over himself. Whereas I've actually heard one take from someone who, frankly, I don't know their political alignment, but I can only assume based on the way they phrased this that they were probably a little more right-leaning, or at least like centrist in quotes. Where like they said that they loved Kylo Ren because he was the perfect example of like the whiny, quote unquote, like triggered soy boys or whatever.
I'm like, you have this backwards though.
Yeah, because frankly, most of us on the left aren't just constantly in pain from things, talking about being triggered and.
We're not? Shit, I've been doing it wrong this whole time.
Yeah, and
God
plus, like, that's not even how triggering works.
Yeah.
That's a PTSD thing.
That's not how any of this works.
Quit using the word to just mean mildly aggravated and lashing out, because it actually means legitimate. I have legitimate anxiety issue. I have a legitimate anxiety disorder, and these particular things cause me to spiral.
Right. Well, and that also goes back to not paying attention to the history of like Star Wars. Like, so the original trilogy, the Empire was coded as Nazis. That's what they were. They were coded as Nazis.
They're space Nazis.
Right.
Space Nazis.
The First Order are neo-Nazis.
Yep.
That's what they're coded as. That's purposeful.
Yeah, they're reviving the Nazi movement and the Empire and trying to. Yeah.
So Kylo Ren is
a whiny young man
He is a whiny, angry, young, white man.
Fighting in defense of white supremacy.
Right. Look, he also came from a super privileged background.
Mm-hmm.
He gets taken in by this charismatic. It's basically American History X a little bit. Like gets taken in by this charismatic person who convinces him he's the future and whatever, and then he becomes a sick idolization, like his
grandfather,
his grandfather, and what he perceived him as.
Yeah.
Like he's a whiny neo-Nazi fanboy.
Yeah.
Like that's what he is. Like that's very purposeful.
Yeah, especially since that's specifically the main set that they've had problems with historically as a franchise.
Right. And
a whiny, entitled fanboy, a lot of whom end up being very, very in defense of white supremacy and very, yeah.
and look, and I'll bring it more. I'll bring it on even further. In The Last Jedi, the major message from Kylo Ren was to reject everything and just burn it down. And that's exactly what Star Wars fans have been doing. When since their vision of things isn't playing out the way they want it to play out, they say, well, fuck it, I'm going to destroy it all. I'm going to make sure that nobody has it.
Yeah.
I'm going to burn everything away.
Yeah. It's not what I want, therefore it doesn't deserve to exist.
Right. And that's exactly what they've been doing.
Yeah.
Like,
if you're not going to appeal to us true TM fans, then why even exist?
Right. It's like I am a huge Star Wars fan.
What, you?
I mean, it's not like you've been talking for the last 30 minutes about Star Wars or anything.
Nah.
Quiet. But I'm a big Star Wars fan, and honestly, what has and this happened with the prequel sequels, like people laughed out with those, but I mean those movies were also bad.
They were really bad.
Yeah, they were bad. Like this wasn't some like just ridiculous fan outrage. Those movies were bad. But this current like just sickness within the Star Wars fan community, this has nothing to do with the movies being bad.
Yeah. In fact, I've found the more recent movies really compelling.
Yeah. I've thoroughly enjoyed them.
Yeah.
They've done some really good things. They've evolved the series in a way that makes sense.
Yeah.
But this stuff is just fans being bullshit, and it's symptomatic. It is symptomatic of things going on in our society right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because these fans that are being ridiculous are the same people who are being ridiculous about other societal things.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I have a really, like, the one that I was talking about that's a more flowery fandom, I feel like serves as a really good foil for this, and I think for time's sake, we should maybe, like, get on into it and get the topic segment done here soon.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. All right, so, I'm a huge fan of Steven Universe. Like, I love basically everything the show has done so far. Or that has happened with the show, rather. However, there's one particularly distressing tale from that fandom that has a lot of people really turned off to, like, the idea of the Steven Universe fandom for relatively good reason, because it's pretty egregious. So much like how there are people having to leave social media and people attempting suicide as a result of harassment in, like, Star Wars fandom by, like, fucking alt-right fanboys who want more strong white men in their movies. Yeah. there was actually an incident. There's a character in Steven Universe, Rose Quartz. She is, at least for the first bit of the show, she's portrayed as this beautiful, perfect, maternal, caring figure. She's also rather plus size. She is a big woman, but she's also very beautiful and portrayed as being very beautiful. So it's like she's some real positive big girl representation. And like that's good and everything. There was unfortunately an issue where a fan, like a young fan of the series, drew fan art of Rose Quartz, but she drew her skinny, which like there's a bit, it's relatively problematic. Like that's something worth critiquing, I guess. Well, I don't guess. I'm reasonably certain that that's worth like leveling a critique at, like erasing this aspect of this character that is really positive for representation. But at the same time, the backlash from it was not just people saying, "Hey, I feel like this is a bit of a problem, and here are the reasons." It was more, "You're a terrible person. You should go kill yourself." Like, all that kind of stuff. And in fact, this young woman did go on to attempt suicide.
Ugh.
Like,
Internet solution is always go kill yourself.
Yeah. So, like, you know, toxicity can come from both sides, I guess, is not really my lesson there, but also that's
it's
what's
very
happened here.
true. Like, toxicity, and as much as we talk about the right and stuff, toxicity comes from every direction. Direction. People go too far.
Yeah.
And people forget that there are people involved in these. Like, these are not just things. These are not just products. There are people involved. There are lives involved. You can't treat people like shit because they perceive this product in a way that isn't your viewpoint.
Yeah. And, like, whatever the motivations of the young woman who drew Skinny Rose were, like, it's just fan art. It's just her interpretation of this character. It is absolutely not worth attacking and bullying someone over. Like, yes. It absolutely could have been worth it to, like, approach her and say, "Hey, I am a little upset about this, and here's why." As long as you're actually willing to have this, like, communication with them, instead of just saying, "Oh, you're horrible and awful," and, just berating them for doing this thing that ultimately doesn't actually harm anyone, just, like, erases some aspects of representation from one character in their personal art that they are doing, and not in any other, like, larger sense.
I think the entire point of, like, this whole topic segment in general, and although I didn't get into one thing I wanted to talk about, which was gaming, which is a whole different fucking...
Dude, we can talk about toxicity and gamer culture next time, because that would be all of the rest of the fandoms I would be interested in talking about.
Yeah, because, like I said, gaming is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, it's its own huge thing. Like, I could talk for an hour about fucking Gamergate and all the mess from that, and all the shit that continues to come out of the same people that were perpetrating that, or perpetuating that.
The one thing I will say about toxicity in gaming is toxicity in gaming hits you immediately. Usually when you wade into any fandom, there's usually some buffer between new people and toxic stuff.
Yeah.
With gaming, especially in the time of, like, online gaming,
it's immediately right in your face.
It's immediate. If, like, man, pardon my and not pardon my language. I say it all the time. I've never heard nigger used so much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In my life until I started playing games online.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nigger was a adjective, a noun, a pronoun. They use that word for every part of speech.
Yeah. When they could have just as easily used fuck.
Like
Which in my experience is much more pleasant to say.
Right. And it got to the point with me, and it's still to that point where I don't get offended anymore because I get less of. I've heard it so much during gaming that I get less offended by the fact that you're using it improperly.
Yeah, like that's not even how the word works.
Like if you just gonna call me a nigger, just go ahead and do it. Just I'll take that. That's normal. But you just said somebody got niggered.
What the fuck does that even mean?
That doesn't make any goddamn sense.
Yeah.
Like, now you're just being nonsensical.
And not in a fun way.
Like, what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah, like you're not subverting language playfully. You're just using a word because you can and refusing to actually accept that it has a meaning of its own.
It's because children.
Yeah, that's how children do things.
These are fucking teenagers, right? They don't have...
Sometimes younger than that.
Yeah, right? Like, they don't have... They're saying it because it's inflammatory.
Yeah.
Like, they're not actually trying to convey the actual weight of that term. They're just using it because they know it's inflammatory.
I just need some parents to teach their children. If you're going to be racist...
Do it right.
Be racist with proper context.
Yeah.
That's all I ask.
Let's just raise
man.
a more effective...
I don't like racism.
Generation of racists.
One day if they say it to my face. However, likely to punch all their teeth out if they use it properly. Like, I don't like you, but I respect your grandma.
I mean, that seems like a pretty shit point to get hung up on when the question is, do I punch this white supremacist or not?
It determines the amount of times I punch you.
Oh, okay. That's acceptable.
Like, I may not knock out all your teeth,
but at least most.
Right. Like, but if you gonna fuck up the context too, I'm taking your whole mouth out. You be eating through a straw.
Yeah. Like, just don't even talk. Just stop.
Right. Just
you can't
stop.
even be racist, right?
Goddamn, fucking idiot. But anyway, I think the entire point of this segment is, and it's a point of many of our segments.
Don't be a dickbag.
Don't be an asshole. Treat people like people. If you care about if you're a fan of something and you care about it and it means something deeply to you, then treat it like you treat a family member.
Yeah, treat it like something you treasure.
Right.
And if you legitimately would treat something or someone you treasure the way some of the people we've described have chosen to treat their fandoms, you probably should go get some help.
Right.
Also, you suck.
Yeah,
you suck. You need to accept that, and you need to go get help to not suck. We believe in you. Go unsuck yourself.
And if that doesn't help, you can call me. I will come to your house, and I will punch you repeatedly
until you get it right.
Until you don't suck anymore.
Right, and it's perfectly fine because you called me to ask for that to happen.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, it's a consensual punching.
Right.
I mean, Keem has laid out on the table what he's going to do if you call him with that issue.
Yep.
That's a service you desire. There you go. As always, you can contact us through our Discord.
Discord, Facebook.
I am the only one other than Keem and Esme currently on the Discord, as far as I'm aware. At least last I checked. So please, somebody come talk to us. We're lonely.
Yep.
Fix your shit and come talk to us.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're going to move on for our topic segment. I hope you guys enjoy it. I think we're going to have another episode of toxicity in gaming eventually because
that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, that is a whole other thing.
With its whole other set of stories. Similar flavor, though.
Yeah. Anyway, we're going to move on into our sex segment when we're going to talk about something that's very near and dear to
all of our hearts. To some part of us.
Look, I wouldn't say it's my heart that is near and dear to, but
I mean, my heart and mind and other parts are very into it.
Yes. In any case.
Fun for the whole family coming up next.
This is going to be...
Not really.
No, I'm not okay with that. No, I'm not okay with that. Please discount what Ari just said. That was too far.
It will eventually be fun for people once they come of age. If they desire such things.
Now see, okay, anyway. The point is that this is going to be a rare episode where it's not just me yelling at you about sex. So stay tuned.
Stay tuned after
we can
some more music.
Oh, hell no. Are you kidding?
Oh, okay.
We're inflammatory here.
Here's some music, guys.
I don't live in a post-industrial town, but I read about one once in a magazine. I was on a plane, then it came to me. Oh, it gave me an idea. What do you think? Why don't we tear up all the manhole covers, send them off to China? If the steel machine don't work no more, strip all of the wires out and we'll take them to the scrapyard and we'll make a couple dollars, sell off the things our parents made, and we'll get by for one more day.
And welcome back, everyone, to the sex segment, where today we are going to be talking about blowjobs.
Time to talk about sucking dick.
And we have here today a variety of people with a variety of experiences with blowjobs who are all extremely enthusiastic about them. So this ought to be a fun conversation.
Blowjobs are low-key my favorite thing.
Low-key?
Low-key.
It's
No, that's a different thing.
It's the most. Oh shit! Sorry, dropped my mic. It's probably the easiest way to get me to finish.
I know.
I mean, you know.
I know that.
But I mean, there might be some listeners who didn't know that, who might have been wondering.
Yeah. Oof. Good memories.
Great memories.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm lost now. I'm lost now. I don't know how much of this you want me to say on the air because it's kind of personal.
Really?
Huh?
I said really? Like,
I mean, I'm just saying, right? Like, I was just remembering the first time that we hooked up.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Anyway.
I think I blacked out for a minute. Yeah, let's go. Let's move on.
Let's move on. So, blowjobs, for those of you who are not up on slang for the last, I don't know.
Blowjobs are at least 25 years old.
At least, right? No, like, blowjobs go back to the beginning of history, but also if anybody is like, maybe English is not your first language, which I have no idea, like, who that would be in our listening audience, but, so blowjobs are a colloquial term for fellatio, or the act of putting your mouth on somebody's penis.
Which became popular in the the U.S. around in the post-World War II period.
Oh, neat. Team's got some
Yep.
etymology chops on this one.
History.
Like little known fact, while blowjobs did occur, they weren't actually like a very common thing until after World War II.
Interesting.
I mean, I feel like they probably were pretty popular in other like historical periods.
They were very popular in Europe.
Yeah.
Especially Italy.
Ooh, those damn Europeans.
Where a lot of American soldiers got their introduction to blowjobs from some very grateful people.
So there was at least one good thing to come out of World War II.
Right. Anyway.
Come.
Exactly. Exactly.
But yes, fellatio. Let's talk about fellatio.
Let's talk about fellatio. All right.
Fellatio with penises, both real and simulated.
Yes, because not all of us have biococks.
Yep.
Unfortunately.
Biocock makes it sound so great. I'm going to start referring to it as biocock from now on. It makes
Right,
it like
isn't
a
that
fucking
amazing?
Android.
Isn't that amazing?
Oh my god.
You have a biocock.
Would you like?
It's like I'm a
Would you
fucking
like to
Terminator.
see my biocock? That's not a legit question. Just like testing out the use of biocock.
Anyway. We're all a bunch of fucking weirdos here. It's great. I love it.
Biocock, transform. Sorry.
All right. So I'm not sure how to go about having this conversation since there's so many disparate like experiences and.
All right. I want to say Keem's experience with it is the more like stereotypical cis dude experience. So we can start from there because that's what most people are comfortable with, and then maybe move on from that.
Sure. Keem, tell us what's so great about blowjobs.
Everything.
That's not very helpful.
Okay, so it's hard to describe what's great about blowjobs because, okay, I will tell you what I find awesome about blowjobs. It's one, the warmth. Two, the mix of sensations. Generally.
Mm-hmm.
At least in the cases of the people I've been with. Like, there are all these things happening to my penis.
Also, FYI, I am totally taking notes for the next time we hook up.
Right.
FYI.
But there are so many different things happening. And, like, and I would say that's the difference between, like genital penetration and, like, blowjobs for me. It's like, with genital penetration, it's generally the same sensation repeated.
Yeah.
With blowjobs, like I said, at least with the people I've been involved with, some people will do this just because they do the same thing. But it's just different sensations, like lick and suck and fast and slow and it feels amazing. And and also, like, after getting all these all these different sensations, then getting that one that's just doing it just right, just like there it is, like that's the magic thing. Keep doing that. Like, it's awesome. Like, it's incredible. I also, like, for the people that it's possible with, a nice deep throat is very enjoyable. Like,
Yeah. I've been slowly trying to train myself up to be able to do that. Sometimes I can, sometimes it's real fucking difficult. I naturally have a pretty violent gag reflex.
and see, depending on the person I'm with, blowjobs can be very interesting. Like, if I'm having more gentle, quote unquote, sex,
Mm-hmm.
like slower, like sensual blowjobs are great, and slower, more sensual blowjobs are very good to watch. Like from my viewpoint, just like sitting there watching it, that is about 50% of the enjoyment. Like I hope this isn't too personal, but Ez and Lavi, just watching it is incredible. I don't know if
Please tell me more about how great I am at blowjobs.
Yeah, but it's incredible. Like, it's also incredible when like you can tell somebody's enjoying it, not just doing it because it's supposed to be done. Because I have been in sexual encounters where somebody's just doing it because it's part of the script.
Oh, that makes me sad.
Which sucks. I mean, I can tell like you're not enjoying this, so I'm not enjoying this. But like when somebody's enjoying it and it's slow and it's like whatever, then it's incredible. It's incredible. But also when I'm having rougher sex and someone wants to get, pardon the terminology, just straight up throat fucked, that's also super awesome. Like, I was with one person once who was into being throat fucked, and they laid on the bed in a way where they hung their head backwards over it.
One of those where you can like see it go in.
It's so fucking
Yes.
hot. Shit.
You can like see it
And
in the throat.
I could see it go all the way down, and that was probably one of the hottest things that had been done ever.
We need to talk. Not to get too personal. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. We need to talk.
Anybody else out here listening, taking notes?
Yeah, anybody who's looking to hook up with Keem.
Yeah,
some real prime fodder for...
Right. But yeah, like I said, I like blowjobs different varieties. But really, as long as someone's, like I said, it's best when the person that's performing it is into it.
Yeah, like with everything in sex. The more into it both people are, the better it is.
Yeah. That's really the root of my experiences. Like I said, blowjobs are kind of my thing.
Yep.
Like, suck the life out of me. I'll just die. I've died. I have died.
I'm pretty sure that you have said those exact words to me on multiple occasions.
Where I'm dead.
You killed me. I'm dead now. Thanks.
One last thing. One of the best experiences, and I'm gonna be real upfront about it. One of the best experiences was an early experience with a certain someone putting their finger in a certain hole.
Cool.
During
what? Anal stimulation feels great? What are you talking about?
I don't know if any other people have ever, like any other of our listeners, especially like hit male listeners who, may not be that comfortable with anal stimulation. Your entire body, like that combination, let me tell you what happens. Your entire body, every single goddamn muscle, even your eyelids, will tense the fuck up. It's like somebody just takes a drawstring and just draws you like tight. And then you release every fucking muscle in your body releases at the same goddamn time. I will be surprised if you do not shit yourself.
I was almost about to joke about that.
Thank you
but
for
that
not
is
pooping on
thoroughly
me,
not
Keem.
sexy to a lot
Thank
of
you for
people.
not pooping on me.
I wasn't going to shit myself. That's just an illustration. Like,
Yeah.
that release is extraordinarily, at least for me, was extraordinarily powerful. And then your body's just fucking pudding after that. Like, your body is pudding. You like your muscles are just jello. So yeah, try that out. Like, man, blowjob and combo.
I love playing with a dude's butt while I'm on there.
Another thing, blowjobs. Pay attention to the balls.
Yes.
The balls are super important. Like,
I've had mixed experiences with trying to bring those into play for people.
Well, see, and here's the thing, right? Like, for as much as we expound enthusiastically about the things that we enjoy, everybody is different.
Yeah.
And
different, of
so,
course.
I mean, step number, like, we have said this multiple times on multiple shows, right? Step number one is ask. You're like, is this
talk
something
about
that you're
what's good
interested
for you.
in? What feels good for you? Depending on the kinds of people that you like to fuck. I mean, even if you're fucking cis people, like, say, what words do you want me to use for your bits, right? Like, have a conversation about it before you just dive in there, right?
Yeah.
Like, so not everybody is going to like every single one of these things. We are only speaking from our own personal experiences. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. Anyway.
Yep.
Anyway.
But as I was saying, at least for me, like, and for a lot of people I know, and the balls are an important yet oftentimes forgotten portion of that.
I never forget the balls.
Never forget the balls.
I never do. I
It
love
can
them
feel real nice to have them included.
so much.
Yes. I've actually enjoyed.
Also, they're fun to play with, not to eat.
Just roll them in your fingers. I've actually enjoyed having my balls like what like tied. I guess tied would be it.
Tied?
Yeah.
Bondage!
Oh yeah, when
Genital bondage.
Gotcha.
Which
Yeah.
is some next level stuff. Don't just randomly go tying people's shit up.
Yeah. Don't.
At least
yeah.
ask first.
Ask first.
The person, once again, who's also on this podcast that tried it, he was like, "Hey, I have a thing. You want to try it?" And I was like, "Sure, I'm game."
Yeah.
But yeah,
Into it.
there are blowjobs. People often treat blowjobs like it's, once again, like they do everything. It's just like this simple thing. If I keep do this and repeat it, but man, blowjobs can be so variant and can come with so many combos that just makes the whole experience even just more excited.
Yep, there's a bunch of stuff you can do for it.
So that's me. I'll probably talk too much. I'm gonna let you guys take over.
Well, I don't know. Ez want to go first, or me want to go first?
Okay, so as always, what's my favorite thing to harp on, Keem? Do you remember on this segment? My favorite thing to harp on is there's so much more fun than just racing to the orgasm, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Like, if you want to get somebody off fast, there are things that you can do in a blowjob. Depending on what you're into, that may or may not be the most fun you can have with a blowjob.
Yeah.
Right. I kind of recently got complimented on my technique. Because I was just like, I'm just legit having fun, playing with your cock right now. This is great. There's so many, again, cis het people are like, okay, so it goes in my mouth and then I move up and down really fast until he comes, right? Which is a way that you can do a blowjob.
Yeah.
Like, that's a way to do a blowjob, but also, like, nibble on things or, like, lick in places. Go slow. Swirl your tongue around things, right? Like wrap your hand around balls and squeeze, or squeeze,
Gently squeeze.
Gently squeeze, or like don't squeeze the balls, but like squeeze above the balls.
Yeah.
Constriction can feel nice, depending, right? Like, and do it gentle. Try a thing. Like, try this thing, try that thing. See what kind of reactions that you get. Just like what Keem just did, right? Play around with it. There's like, everybody gets it's so sad that everybody's like, oh, so with like a vulva, you like lick this and tug this and flick this and rub this and do all these things because there's
like
so many like fun things. Exactly, right? Like, there's so many like little folds and stuff that you can play with, but a penis seems for some reason really straightforward. But no, there's just as much fun things that you can like tug here and like squeeze here and stroke this and lick this and
things that can be done with extra skin if that's available.
Yeah, there's so much stuff to do, but you have to like chill out and say we're taking the scenic route.
Yeah.
Instead of racing straight to the part where there's like cum in your mouth, right? Like, that's a fun thing, but also there's so many things to do on the way. It's wonderful. Or like put your fingers here, right? Keep some lube on hand. You know, because it might be handy. Whatever. Like, there's so many different things.
Also, blowjobs with handies.
Yeah. Oh, that's a whole other episode. We've had that episode. The hand sex episode. Ugh.
Yeah. Combining mouth and hand sex can be very effective.
Yes.
Ooh,
I have a whole thing about combining blowjobs and hand sex.
Yeah.
As somebody who dons a strap on the regular. Oof. Right. No, I am with Keem, where it's like, here's an attractive person who is paying loving attention to my cock and also has their fingers all up inside of me. Yes.
Which, mouth stuff is probably my favorite stuff. I really like the feel of a penis in my mouth. I really like eating ass, as we've talked about before. Oh my God,
let's not even start about the feeling of like a cock in your mouth.
I mean,
it's,
why
like,
not?
Hard, but like the skin is soft.
Yeah,
it's like, ugh.
It feels really good there.
It's just really, really pleasing.
Yes, it is a very, very pleasant. A penis has very pleasant mouthfeel.
Yes, yes.
That's just the way it be.
You have been watching ContraPoints.
I haven't. I just know that mouthfeel
is... She literally explicitly is talking about that at some point.
I should watch more ContraPoints.
You should watch more ContraPoints.
Us queers are all super big on ContraPoints. Or us political queers,
yes,
as far as I've seen.
Us, like, anti-capitalist, fucking ridiculous queers are
I need to pay more attention to them.
Anyway, her.
Gotcha.
Anyway, ContraPoints is pretty ridiculous and amazing. But... That's beside the point. A little bit.
But yes, penises have amazing mouthfeel.
Yes.
Also, mouths have amazing penis feel.
I will have to agree.
I can't speak to that.
Also, tongues can have pretty great ass feel, and asses can have pretty great tongue feel. The issue is just sometimes your mouth doesn't want to open wide enough. That's the only lament I ever have with analingus.
Tragic.
I know, right?
Tragic. I've not done any of that in a really long time. I should try that again.
But yes, mouth stuff.
You should.
Mouth stuff is pretty much my favorite stuff, except for like the just generally rolling around and randomly touching things. I love that as like a good start to things. So hand stuff and mouth stuff, I'd say those are my favorite things.
Right.
And then just like generally frauding.
Yes.
Yeah, great stuff. But anyway, our the topic this time is mouth stuff, specifically blowjobs.
Blowjobs. No, I could talk forever about how great penises feel in your mouth and how much fun they are to play with. And like you nibble this and you're like, oof,
soft and hard at the same time.
Soft and hard at the same time.
Yes. It's all right.
Anyway.
I have yet to actually have experience with an uncircumcised person.
I have very little experience.
I could see it being great. I've definitely been with people who have extra skin, but not quite their full foreskin.
Yeah.
So.
I was actually just about to mention something about that because I have, like, I am circumcised. So when I say I have a friend, I mean I have a friend. But I have a friend who is dating a guy that is uncircumcised, and she was having like issue because this was the first uncircumcised penis she had ever tried to perform fellatio on.
Yeah.
And she wasn't sure how. And she was like, I've been doing it like I normally would, and it doesn't seem to be getting a similar reaction. Though she's asked, like, does he like it, and is it what was good? And he says it's fine, but it doesn't, particularly seem that way. I mean, that's a communication issue,
definitely
on their part. But she has been like.
She's been like
trying to figure out how to give a blowjob to an uncircumcised penis.
Well, the canonical method that I know of is to put your hand on it and pull back the foreskin and then go to town with your mouth. Because when a person is uncircumcised, all the stuff that is usually covered by the foreskin is extra sensitive. So there's a lot of sensation you can get out of that.
And again, though, right, like, talk to the person that you're with.
Yeah,
because
like, ask them
I also, canonically, because I've only ever had sex with one person who was not circumcised, and that was way before I had this level of, like, sexual awareness. But a lot of people, or some people who are not circumcised, find that really overwhelming, right? Like, just like people with, like, vulvas and clits, right? Like everybody handles a different level of stimulation on their bits.
Yeah.
There's no one right way to do it. It's a matter of communication. Also stating your goal. Say, hey, so I have noticed in previous times that I have given you a blowjob that you have said that you enjoy it, but also I would like to make you come. So tell me how to make you come, which is a whole other level of hotness in and of itself, right? That's a whole other level.
Honestly, just about the phrase, tell me how you want me to make you come, is probably going to do half the work for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole thing.
That's something I've seen recently on the internet. People arguing, like, people who try to say that consent, like getting consent, pausing things to ask about consent, is unsexy.
Oh, fuck
clearly
that.
are bad at dirty talk.
No shit. Right? No shit.
And super unimaginative.
No
because
shit.
there are so many ways you can be like, you like this or you want this, and it be super hot and in the moment and really help with the mood. Like...
Yes. Oof.
Yeah. But... yeah, ask your partner, if you're ever unsure, ask your partner what they want, what feels good to them, and then try those things. Like...
yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Unfortunately, some people still are really, really shy about talking about what they want in a sexual encounter. People are really scared to be thought of as a freak or whatever. But, like, if you don't communicate, you're never going to get it. Like,
yes. That is so true.
And that's kind of sad. Everyone should be having sex that they enjoy.
Yes.
Everyone who has sex should have sex that they enjoy.
Everybody should be able to experience sex or not in the way that feels best to them.
Yes.
Right.
And if you don't like sex, then you should still be able to communicate with your partner about, like, well, if you have a partner, or if not, or with friends, or anybody, just like, what is good to you? Like, this is a whole huge general thing that I've just made out of this. But yeah, like, talk about what you like, what's good for you, for anybody who's in any kind of situation where they are making physical contact with you, or like otherwise just trying to comfort you or have an enjoyable time with you in any form.
Can I on a like less like serious on a less serious note?
No,
Yeah, let's
we're
get
only
silly for
we're
a
only
second.
serious here.
So, hey, people, a lot of people generally tend to like put blowjobs either at the beginning, like the start of the sex segment. Sorry,
You're the only one who's amused by that.
but they usually either do it at the beginning or the end.
Yeah. Like, it's either a way to finish off or it's a way to start.
Way to start. It can be very good in the middle.
It can be anywhere. Anything
Like,
can be anywhere. Penetrative
blowjobs-
sex could be your foreplay if that's what you want.
Right. Like people,
Or if you're
people
me, there's no penetrative
people,
sex at all.
people don't underestimate
And that's
the
also
power
perfectly wonderful.
of a blowjob, like between between position blowjob.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Are you kidding?
Like-
Anytime there's a penis within range of my mouth, it's going in.
Yeah.
As assuming the person I'm fucking consents.
Like one
In
of
that
the
sense,
best
I am a cock-hungry dick pig.
one of the best things ever is if I've been doing like missionary or something, and missionary can take it out of you sometimes, and you need a cool down period, but you don't want to stop. Like, hold up,
Yeah.
blowjob time.
Blowjob time.
Nice,
Or-
slow blowjob.
Right, like let me get a chance to recoup. And
Yeah. Basically,
And-
like, between position changes, historically, I've always been like, let me get that on my face. let me get that in my mouth.
another one of the best things is switching from mission. Like if it's like missionary or whatever, and we switch into doggy, and I like get up off the bed to move the position, and as I'm moving, the person I'm with grabs it and just like,
Yeah.
I've done
Yeah,
that
it's
to you,
like-
right?
woo!
I have definitely done that to people in the past, and I love it.
That makes me forget what I'm doing, and then when I get back to what I'm doing, I'm twice as hyped.
Yeah. Can confirm.
Also the phrase "let me taste myself on you."
Now I'm sitting here
Can fuck up
taking
somebody's
notes. Now I'm taking notes. Like,
Because
next time I fuck Keem.
that's fucking hot. Like my one issue is, and it's one of the reasons I hate the material, like the things they use to flavor condoms.
You
And I
use
hate the
flavored
fact that
condoms?
I hate what they use to flavor condoms. Like, irritates people's bits, and that regular condoms taste awful.
You're just using the wrong brand of condom.
I mean, latex tastes awful.
Well, no, but like most of the taste of condoms is not the latex, it's the lube that they put on it. Right? Like that really nasty, like bitter taste it's the lube. So keep trying out different brands of condoms because like none of them are going to taste great. Honestly, none of them are going to taste amazing, but some of like I have found that Trojans, like whatever lube they use on Trojans is nasty.
I mean, Trojans are awful anyway.
Yeah, Trojans are awful anyway. But like the lube that they use on Trojans is nasty. But not every brand of condom uses the same kind of lube, and so some of them like Trojan taste really, really awful and bitter and gross, and some of them are a little less intense.
Cause see, I know I've known quite a few people that once the condom's on, then blowjobs are out of rotation because of the way the condom tastes.
Yeah.
And I mean that like removing that off the board removes some possible combos. Like it's like a fighting game. It's like a fighting video game. You're trying to do the proper combos, right? Like hit the right buttons, like quarter circle up, like.
Yeah, so we could stand to find some recommendations for lubes and condoms that don't make oral sex impossible.
Like any listeners, just like, hey, this I've had this, and I've used this condom. It didn't taste like shit. Hey, let me know, especially.
We also have our resident sex sage, which
right.
I'll do some field testing.
All right, awesome.
We'll make it happen. We'll make it happen.
I hope to be involved in some of that field testing.
Well, hell yes, obviously.
But yeah, that's one thing. And I've noticed how bad. Also, okay, another thing about. I'm sorry, I'm getting hyped about blowjobs.
It's all right, but we do also need to start closing it down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I have a message to like cis het dudes, because I know a lot of dudes who, after a blowjob, do not.
Oh yeah, this shit.
Think they think it's gay. It's not that it's gross or nasty, but it's gay, because this is how it works apparently, to kiss after a blowjob.
Fuck that noise. That shit is hot as shit.
That is hot as shit.
Oof.
It's very hot as shit. And in most cases, these same dudes will chow down on like a woman's bits for God knows how long and expect to kiss.
Even though that's like all over your, that's a different beast though, right? Because like that's now all over your damn face if you're doing it right.
Right,
like this is just in my mouth.
Right, like that's like just in your mouth. Like my whole face is just like covered in just whatever. But like you have a problem with somebody kissing you after they've gone down on you. You're full of shit. I'm sorry, you're full of shit. Because of some weird homophobic tendency. Man, fuck out of here.
Yeah, like, honestly, I'm going to go ahead and urge everyone anywhere to just stop avoiding doing things because they're worried it makes them look gay. Like, fuck all of that. There's no good reason for it.
No, there's not.
If the only reason you don't want to do something is because you're worried it may make you look gay, fucking do it, and anybody who tries to say it makes you look gay, punch them in the throat. Or at least anyone who tries to say it makes you look gay and then tries to make it out like that's a bad thing, punch them in the throat. Like, because fuck all of that. You should not be shamed for enjoying what you enjoy as long as it's consensual and yeah.
So, I think that's it. That's the end of our sex segment.
I think so.
Oh man, I really need more blowjobs.
I need to give more blowjobs.
I could stand to give a blowjob.
Oof.
Absolutely.
Oof.
To our listeners,
if you want to hook up with somebody on the Outer Voices podcast,
send me a message. Especially if you're located in Memphis, send me a message.
Yeah, let's get people in our Discord talking about hooking up.
See, this is not fair because I feel like there are more listeners in Memphis than there are in New York, and this is not fair for me.
That's probably true.
I mean,
oh man, I didn't even get to talk about strap-on blowjobs. We'll have a whole thing about strap-ons later. I'll do.
I'm so sorry.
Tune in next week to hear me talk about how great strap-ons are. Tune in.
Yeah, I really expected like your part of it when I turned it over to you to be strap-on blowjobs.
I forget what I was talking about. Anyway.
The problem. Eds got caught up in thinking about blowjobs,
yes,
and forgot all about
Yes.
talking about blowjobs.
Giving blowjobs is so amazing that I forgot about receiving them. Oh,
I give and receive them in not entirely equal measure. I mean, really like giving oral sex.
Same.
I really like it.
Right? It's great.
Receiving's pretty good. Analingus, I'm not a huge fan of receiving. It just feels weird to me, but a lot of people like it, and I like giving it to them.
Anyway, so next week, I already have a topic for next week. We're talking about all of the amazing shit that you can do with strap-ons. The strap-ons are amazing. We'll talk. It's not just going to be for people with vulvas. There's whole ideas for people who also have penises and want to experiment with strap-on play. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. There will be things. Anyway, tune in next week. Please tune in next week so that I can ramble to you about strap-ons.
All right, and with that, we're going to tie up this show. Thank you.
No, that's
Ari.
a different show.
That's true.
Though I'm also open to experimenting with getting tied up.
Yes. So, Keem, continue our closing.
Yeah, I need to close the show, guys. Thank you, Ari, for joining us again. It's a pleasure as always. I would say it's a joy talking to you again, but I talk to you a lot. And it's always a joy. So
yeah, okay.
That was a roundabout way of getting to where I was going. Special thanks to our musical guests for providing us music this week. Special thanks to Living Room Leftists, of course, as always. Hey, join us on Discord if you haven't heard that come up multiple times during this show. Join us on Facebook. We'd love to talk to you. We'd love to share your music. We'd love for you to be on the show. Look forward. We should have some, if I'm not mistaken, we should have some projects coming up, possibly.
There's so many projects, guys. I'm sorry I'm a slacker. We'll get it together. I'll get my shit together.
Be on the lookout. We're going to try to get you all more information on that stuff as it comes. As always, this has been Keem and Esme and Ari, and we are out.
But there are these things that matter, and they really fucking matter. There's like 4 things that matter, and they really fucking matter. I mean, objectively, you should care, especially you, if you thought about it for 5 fucking minutes.